Hey party people, it is time for another installment of hashtag Ask Mira Wed, the segment where I put myself on camera so that you guys can ask me any event or wedding planning related questions that you are stumped on. So this week we're going to talk about budgets, everybody's favorite budget. It is the most wonderful time of year for budgets. It's also engagement season, and so the question of exactly how you are going to be able to financially afford your dream wedding or event might be coming up a little bit sooner than you think. So let's talk really quick about some of the most important things that are often forgotten on budgets. Now, one thing that people tend to forget a lot is that there are certain services and products that you will purchase for your event or wedding that will have sales tax or additional service charges based on what they are. So taking into account anywhere from, I always use 10% because it's a nice buffer, on top of your photography services, on top of any types of purchases that you're planning on making, those types of things will require you to pay sales tax. So it's really important that you buffer in an additional 10% on top of your estimated cost or built into your cost so that that doesn't catch you by surprise, because that can add up over a period of time and become pretty scary to deal with. The other thing to consider is that your catering cost is not just a fixed per person cost. There is usually, if not always, an additional 20-25% service charge on top of your per person cost and sales tax. So when you're thinking about how much it's going to cost to feed each person through a professional catering company, you need to also factor in an additional roughly 30-35% on top of that in order to cover that cost, because that's going to be the biggest line item on your entire budget. Most expensive thing that you will spend, most expensive place that you will spend will be on food and beverage. So making sure that you account for that extra percentage building in the tax and the service charge is really important. The next thing that people tend to forget is gratuity and gifts. Gratuity for your vendors, they've worked so hard for you throughout the entire planning process. Obviously, none of this is mandatory, and sometimes gratuity can be in forms of other things like wine or other types of gifts for your vendors. But the most important thing is to not forget at the end of this whole time, if you want to show a little extra appreciation for what your vendors have done for you, it's really important that you budget $500 or so to be able to make sure that everyone is tipped out appropriately at the end of the night. The same thing goes for gifts for your parents or for your bridal party or for anyone that's done something a little bit above and beyond for you throughout the planning process. You don't want to leave these things to the last minute, and you also want to make sure that you're not running out of money and you now have to come up with some lame gift to give someone that's given you so much support and love over this really important time of your life. So making sure that you take into account, you know, a little something extra just to show your appreciation for everybody at the end of this whole process is really important. And the very last thing that I'm going to talk about when it comes to budgets is your wedding planners, your event planners. A lot of times people don't think that they will need a planner, so they don't budget for it at all, and then it gets looked at as an extra expenditure, or worse, they're going to think that we happen to cost a lot less than we really do. Now, there are several levels of service that come with any professional planning company: day of coordination, management, full service. It kind of depends on what you need, but you definitely do not want to skimp out on these services because things were not budgeted properly. The very best way to make sure that you are going to be able to get everything that you want, and if not, making sure that your priorities at least are taken care of and you are investing your hard-earned money in the right places, is to work with a professional planner. We actually offer a we offer a consultation service that will help get you on the right track, and then we offer an a la carte service that you can use on top of your complimentary consultation that's going to help you make sure that you have the right budget and the correct planning timeline in place. That's something that we're happy to do. It's very affordable, makes a great gift for anyone who's going to be getting engaged this holiday season, but it's definitely a very important first step for any kind of planning process. So let's recap. The first thing not to forget: taxes and service charges. Always ask questions of your vendors whether or not their services do include taxes, whether or not you're going to be having to pay taxes on any additional products that you might purchase, especially through your photographers and videographers. And don't forget about the service charges when you're talking about menu pricing with your catering company. The second thing to remember is gratuity and gifts. Don't leave your vendors and friends high and dry after they've worked so hard to make your day as special as possible for you. And third, and maybe most important, is don't forget about your event and wedding planners. We are not necessarily cheap, but we are definitely one of the most important pieces of pulling together a cohesive, well-planned, beautifully designed event. And the last thing that you want is to be stuck, not being able to work with who you want to work with because you just didn't know. So that sums up this episode of Ask Mira Wed. And as always, if you have a question or want us to address anything new, go ahead and shoot us an email, info@mira-events.com with the tagline Ask Mira Wed, or you can hit us up on social media with the same hashtag Ask Mira Wed. All right, well, this has been sufficiently embarrassing for me. I am out for the rest of the holiday season. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Mwah!